So guys, what do you think of Snow White?
All right, so well, after the first 20 minutes or so, which were painful to sit through, my goodness, so bad the first 20 minutes of this movie. I would have just lopped them off the film and didn't need it. But once Snow White runs away to the enchanted forest, I felt the movie picked up. It has some really nice moments, stunning production design and costume design. I would say two actually great musical numbers. And also, I think the film has some really wonderful and important messaging.
Snow White is a modern day mess. A film that's basically been a disaster from start to finish. Do yourself a big old favor, save yourself some time and money, and go watch the original instead.
Yep. You like the CG dwarves?
These are nightmares made real. Oh yeah, you know those retarded looking Starbucks baristas from those early set pictures that everyone thought were the dwarves? Well, those are the bandits, who are actually out of work actors forced to become thieves because the evil queen's taxation policies shut down their entire industry.
Big mistake to go CGI, which we all knew as soon as we saw them. We were like, that was a mistake. And it is. The animation on them is not bad. Doc, Grumpy, and Dopey make the strongest impressions, and every once in a while you're like, I guess that's like okay. Jonathan's group seemed a little bit like a band of thieves that was also an improv group.
How is it that you could have Gimli being a dwarf and it was perfect? And that was in 2001. And did they just forget how to do that?
What do you think of Rachel Zegler?
I've seen a lot of pictures of this girl, Rachel Zegler. I think she's actually very attractive. I think this movie did the best job that it possibly could to make her look unattractive. I think that this is like the way that they did her hair, her makeup, the lighting, and everything. They did everything that they could to make her look bad.
She actually isn't terrible as Snow White. Her performance is a bit over the top and theatre kid at times, and her American accent comes and goes depending on whether or not she's in a reshoot, but I do get the impression she's at least trying to do her best with the material, and she can absolutely belt out the musical numbers, which is pretty much what you'd expect from a trained vocalist.
I would say that Zegler's movements come across as very stilted and planned. You know, she seems very much like she's playing Snow White and is aware that she's in this movie and she's Snow White, rather than simply becoming Snow White.
What about Gal Gadot?
It genuinely pains me to say this, but I think we all need to come to the acceptance that that girl cannot fucking act. It takes a special kind of charisma, presence, and dramatic range to play a good Disney villain, and well, Gal Gadot doesn't have it.
Oh, well, let's just say that my showing of Snow White, but it was pretty much empty. But there were still enough people there to laugh at Gal Gadot's line readings, particularly towards the beginning of the film. And not like they weren't laughing with Gal Gadot. They were like, oh my God, it's even worse than I thought it would be. And it was really awful. I'm surprised that they weren't. Maybe that's the best she could do.
Probably trying to do her best. So I think everybody there trying to do their best. It's just sometimes your best not so good. She was really hot in Wonder Woman, so that's okay.
You guys like the message?
The overall message is not just that real beauty is within, but kindness versus selfishness. I love the messages in this movie, in fact.
Snow White as a character seems to be all about equity and shared responsibility, rather than privilege and greedy self-interest, but when it comes to the crunch, she ends up having to do basically everything herself, which negates the very point the movie's been trying to make for the past 2 hours.
The problem is that this is what a lot of modern movies, I think, have an issue with, is that they try to hold on to and push an ideal or some sort of value that's just simply not representative of what average people think or feel.
So why did the movie flop?
This film absolutely lived up to all my worst expectations, and in some cases even exceeded them.
It's just, I know it's a fairy tale, but it just seemed dopey.
Nobody asked for this, nobody wanted this, nobody thought this would be a good idea. Like, it's just, no one what is going on, man?